Hey everybody. Welcome back to another Macabre Daily interview. I'm Brian Finnerty, and today I am really excited to be talking to Martin. And I realized I never asked how to pronounce your last name. Is it Melnick?
You got it. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
I usually do that before I hit record. I'm a professional. What can I say? So yeah, Martin Melnick, the writer director of Lily Lives Alone, which we reviewed on Macabre Daily when it first premiered August of last year, correct?
Yeah.
Um, and then the reason that we're talking today is you have some exciting news that it is coming out on Shudder, right?
Yeah. Next week, March 6th. So coming up soon, next Friday.
Fantastic. So yeah, it'll be available on Shudder. And then just today dropped some additional news that you're getting a Blu-ray release through Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah. Through OCN on Vinegar Syndrome and with Dark Sky Films, our distributor, we're kind of excited. It's been many months of working on design and other things, but we're putting out a limited edition slipcover Blu-ray release of the film. Really beautiful artists worked on it, and there's like a bunch of special features, which I'm really excited about because I also
Mm.
cut those special features and put those in there, and really wanted to make sure that it felt like there were a lot of extras, and on top of having a nice transfer of the film, that there were a lot of like deeper things to sort of dive into on the disc.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. I think, yeah, we'll probably talk about some of the special features and stuff, but just to maybe start a little more broadly, um, I was super excited. We've talked offline about finally having the chance for us to chat because when I think when I first reviewed your film, we maybe exchanged a couple messages, but we didn't really get into too much of a back and forth. I honestly was trying to remember when, but at some point we started exchanging more messages online, and quickly I was like, oh, Martin, he's like a really cool guy. Um,
Thank you. You're very kind.
and
Uh,
I was so sad because I'm like, I have to wait for him to make another movie for us to talk, and then boom, some cool new news about your movie came out. So here we are.
No, it's super serendipitous. I think we bonded over not just films, but also both being dads. So I think it was just
Yes,
family life and film life.
horror dads.
Horror dads, yeah.
Um, so yeah, just again, before we get into the movie, just to kind of hear a little bit more about you.
Sure.
How how did you first start getting into horror and into films in general?
That's a great question. Yeah. So film has been a big part of my life for the better part of my life. I don't talk about this a whole lot, but when I was a little kid, I was an actor.
Oh,
But it was mostly things like commercial work and other things. A lot of auditions, a lot of indie pieces. And this was when I was around 8 years old. I was doing that sort of quite off and on. And um, the more I got to be on like indie sets, even as a kid, I kind of realized I
mm,
started talking more with crew members on set than I did with other cast members. And I started like
okay.
asking people who were on camera what they were doing and trying to learn about that. And it sparked like a sort of really like an early passion for learning how to make films as a craft and as an art. And um, it I didn't realize that there was so much that went into it. Obviously, I was a kid, and that
Yeah.
sort of sparked my interest in wanting to make films. Rather, I mean, obviously, actors also make films, but be more behind the camera and sort of work from that direction instead of acting. So I stopped acting and started working towards wanting to make my own stuff.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Did you ever
and
do a scary movie as a kid?
A lot of little shorts, a lot of death in the shorts, and a lot of attempts at gore, a lot of jail capsules and things like that.
All
Nothing
those
I
great
will share
things
with the
we should
world.
be exposing young children to.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, very, very, yeah, perfect, perfect for kids. But yeah, no, I mean, horror wasn't immediate. I mean, I've loved horror since I was young. Also, I think that I've thought about it a lot. But the first horror film I ever saw was Poltergeist, and that also just sparked an interest in the genre. But I wasn't specifically interested in horror when I was trying to make films. I was interested in just films that lean and sort of gravitate towards human stories, and
Mhm.
that could be dramas and thrillers. And I always, yeah, gravitate towards darker themes. But I really like the idea of character studies. And one of the things that when I sort of did get deeper into horror, that I sort of realized was that horror was the like nth degree of drama for me.
Mm.
So the more you get into sort of like, in my opinion, honing in on something that's real, with like a
Mhm.
story or with what characters are going through, the if you're willing to go deep into that psychology, then it means you're sort of going into a scary place, because ultimately the dramas that we feel, or the interactions, or the things that we deal with, the stresses that we deal with, to me are all really about what we're afraid of, and fear plays a big part um, in processing. And so I guess it was in my journey of wanting to make really, I guess, genuine dramas, or dramas that dealt
Mhm.
with real stories, that I discovered that horror was a better vessel for it, or for me at least, to sort of investigate things that people are going through. So uh,
Definitely.
horror became, yeah,
I mean,
horror is it
it's
for me.
I mean, it's the genre where like
Yeah,
I feel like there's kind of like no limits in horror, right? You can kind of go anywhere. You can go to the darker themes. Um,
absolutely.
it is interesting that you say that you're kind of interested in drama first, and then horror kind of comes as a second. I feel like that makes sense for Lily, because I mean, it certainly is a horror movie like through and through, but I feel like it's one of those horror movies that does kind of like play at the edges of the genre. It's not, it's not like a slasher. It's not a strict ghost story or possession story. It really is just this human story first, with a lot of like really creepy and horrific elements added into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was sort of important in our early discussions in pre-production, and when I was working on the script, was
Mhm.
that, and I love all subgenres of horror. I love giallo cinema. I love slashers. I love horror as a broad concept. But for this movie in particular, it was like, okay, this is a real story about generational trauma and a person
Mhm.
going through it, and I didn't want it to be I didn't want it to be like an exploitation film in this regard. This film needed
Yeah.
to be, yeah, centered on human story first, and then really the genre elements were more just to reinforce the psychology of the character, and that sort of grew from there. And so yeah, it was like important to me that it wasn't so much like, there aren't that many jump scares in the film. There are a few, but
Mhm.
and there are a lot of things that are Easter eggs hiding. I mean, there are things, and I've had people talk to me and they've watched it twice and didn't see that there's something supernatural in the background in a shot that I won't call attention to. It's just there and it'll linger
Yeah.
there. So there are things to try that you can scan the frame for that you might not see. There's also hidden things throughout the film in the edit built into the structure of the film as well that I don't really talk about that often.
Oh, really?
Um, and there's a little bit of that information on the commentary track on the Blu-ray. But yeah, it was really important to me that horror in this particular instance was just a reinforcement of the character's psychology, and how could we play with the scariness here not being like gotcha scariness, but this like sense of looming dread that you kind of feel, and you have to sort of sit with this character through this. It's asking a lot of the audience to sit with this character through this experience. So it is an intense experience, but just not in the way
Mhm.
that some other kinds of horror,
Yeah. I feel like
would be.
the only real proper jump scare in it was that damn kid in the grocery store. I've watched it twice now, and he gets me. He's gotten me both times.
It gets me. There's the yeah. There's a couple in there. And uh, it's funny because I don't really jump at horror films, but my wife does, who's the
Mhm.
producer of the film. And
Okay.
so anytime we were sitting through a rough cut or an assembly edit, and I'm up, I'm bringing down a new cut, and we're reviewing and we're taking notes and we're making changes. Doesn't matter. She knows it's coming. It was every single time was also jumping at those scenes. So it was entertaining to go through that process.
It's good. You need like the test case, the person
Yeah.
with the easy startle reflex to
Yes,
try it out
absolutely.
on.
So yeah, there's a couple in there, but it's definitely few and far between in the movie.
Yeah. So as obviously we're starting to talk directly about the movie now. For anybody who's watching this who isn't already familiar with it, do you mind just
Yeah,
giving us the quick
sure.
synopsis? What is it about?
Yeah, the Lily Lives Alone is a movie about a woman who is having a really hard time. And it's the 10th anniversary of her daughter's death, and she lives in a
Mhm.
small town. She's pretty isolated. She works at a grocery store, and she's spending the sort of really hard anniversary day of this death. I guess, yeah, closing in and isolating herself. The town suspects foul play. She suspects other town, people in the town of thinking that about her, or of
Mhm.
harassing her and following her. So she's got a lot of paranoia about the experience, and a lot of I guess unresolved generational trauma of her own, and parentification experience of her own.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's essentially a chamber piece about this person going through a really hard night.
Yes, that's the understatement of the year. Kind of a tough night.
Yeah, tough night.
Um, so obviously with this movie, it's in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler, as you said, that Lily is grieving the death of her child. Um, that's a really intense topic, right?
It is.
And especially for your first feature. I was thinking about that. Like, I feel like some people would ease their way in to like the bigger topics like that, and apparently you're just like, nope, first time, let's go there.
Absolutely. And I would say that if I was in a position where I thought that I would forever be able to, and I hope that there are many more. I've got a lot that I want
Mhm.
to work on, and I've got a lot ready to go. But if I had to approach this, especially since we produced this movie ourselves, my wife
Mhm.
and I, that this you have to go into it with the assumption that this could be it. This could be the
Mhm.
one movie you get to make. I really hope that's not the case, but I had to make that assumption. So I wanted to tackle a subject matter that I thought was interesting and also going to lead to more in-depth sort of exploration. So the when you watch the movie, I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but the sort
Yeah.
of thing, the visitors that Lily experiences throughout the course of the evening, which
Mhm.
pertain to her history, are almost more relevant in some ways than the stuff that's at the forefront of what she's afraid of, because
Mhm.
it really was a vessel for getting to sort of dissect more of this sort of this concept of parentification in general, the
Yeah.
generational trauma that she experienced. So when analyzing that stuff, yeah, I knew it was going to be a heavy subject matter, and as soon as I knew that that was what I wanted to talk about, I knew
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go that intense with it. And so
Mhm.
it was basically that or nothing. I wasn't going to go
Yeah.
halfway and sort of just like tease at something serious, but not really investigate it, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was hearing somebody talk about that. Maggie Gyllenhaal, I think, was talking about sexual violence in movies in an interview I heard recently, and she said something kind of similar that there's these really heavy, dark subjects that it can be hard to lean into, but the fact is they exist, right? Like uh, we don't necessarily want to always talk about it or want to face it, but yeah, these terrible things happen. People lose children. People are assaulted, um, and it's like you don't want to be gratuitous about it, which your film is not. Some films are, but you also want to like honor those subjects by, if we're gonna do it, let's actually face it and like talk about it very openly.
Absolutely. I think for me, the separation or the difference between where it becomes problematic and where it becomes, genuine is really in are you being exploitative with the
Hmm.
subject matter? And also, are you trying to just sort of, I guess, benefit off of like creating a victim, because it's like
Hmm.
an easy thing to do. And so that was another thing when we were first developing the script. It was like, and actually further on when I was working with our star Shannon Beebe, who's amazing to work with, incredible in the film,
Yeah.
is that it was really important to all of us that Lily isn't a victim. She does experience things. She is victimized, but that she has agency.
Hmm.
She is a strong person. She's just going through it right now.
Yeah.
So that was really important to us, and those things are nuances, and you have to really delve into those. But the idea was I didn't want something that's going to judge our character, because like
Hmm.
other people can make judgments if they want, but the idea of this movie was really, okay, how do we how do we ask someone to experience, or an audience member to experience empathy while
Yeah.
watching something that would honestly for a lot of people be really hard to do.
Hmm.
So the movie's asking for that kind of empathetic approach, and that was really important to us in crafting the character. Was I didn't want this like just pure victim character. I didn't want a
Hmm.
two-dimensional victim. I wanted someone who has agency, and I like difficult, problematic characters because that's human beings.
Yes, and she sure is. I mean, I think complex protagonists like that, it's a great thing about like more like modern film, I guess, is people are just getting more and more comfortable saying we don't necessarily have to love the main character, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And she does. I mean, she garners a ton of empathy, but also, yeah, I was watching this whole movie just like thinking, oh my God, what are you doing too? Just
Yeah, no, it's one of those yeah, it's one of those examples of a, a character making bad decisions, but
Mhm.
making maybe possibly the best decisions they're capable of with the tools they've been given.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where it's like when you're looking at the screen, you're like, no, don't do that, or I wouldn't do that. But that's another thing. That's like something I'm really interested in is would I do that? Would I do
Mhm.
that if I was in that same set of circumstances? It's so
Yeah.
easy to look at another person and be like, well, I would never wind up there, or I would never do something that they're doing. But you don't really know that because you don't have that same shared lived experience. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, oh man, those are some bad decisions, but are they reasonable? I guess for me, it's I care less about judging someone and more about understanding them.
Yeah.
And that's I guess what the sort of hope is with the film is that you take out some of this like a little bit of understanding of another person's position, whether you agree with their decisions or not, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
when everything that she is doing is so relatable, it might be like taken to a little bit of an extreme level for the
Sure.
purposes of a movie, right? But it's all so common, all of the maladaptive coping skills we have. Drinking too much, popping a few extra pills, sex as a coping skill, isolating yourself, pushing people away. Um, you know, tell me if I'm missing anything that she
No,
did, but I
absolutely.
we've
And
all done that.
even alienating your community, people that are there
Mhm.
that are at least maybe there to help, maybe not there to help. But, there's
Yeah.
some question of that in the film, but um, not really being in a place where you feel safe enough to let those people actually in to help you.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, community obviously is like a sort of side note, plays like a kind of a big part in the film as well.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the really more interesting elements of it was the role of the community, like her neighborhood and her friends and the people who she interacts with over the course of this night. Um, yeah, it was this really, really cool balance that you found of it was all open to interpretation, right? Like, are these people genuinely trying to help her and she's paranoid? Are they messing with her? Is she hallucinating? Is it real? Is it not? Probably a little bit of all of them.
Led by Jeffrey Combs, which is also a dream. So
Oh
that was
yeah,
great.
definitely. Yeah, how did you get him connected with the
Yeah.
movie?
So yeah, when we initially wrote that character, I knew, especially since it was, a character throughout the film, but ultimately a smaller role. I knew
Mhm.
it needed to be someone who'd be memorable because it was such a significant role with less screen time. So I made a list of people that I thought, I'd be interested or wanting to take that on, and he was the top
Mhm.
of the list. And just somehow lucked out that we reached out to his agent, and he was really favorable of the script. I sent him the script and some sides for his role, and I think we heard back from the agent like day or two later, and it was like Jeffrey really likes the script. Yeah, he, here's his contract. This is what we would need, yada yada. And it was like, oh wow, I think we can actually do this. Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, we made the deal, and then I remember I was distinctly this memory. I was at work. I was working in house at an agency doing some color work.
Mhm.
And I got a phone call, and it was like a private number from LA, and I just answered it, and it was Jeffrey Combs giving me a call to talk
Oh
about the
my God.
script, and I was like, I need to step out from my job for a minute, so let's start talking. I think we just ended up talking for a long time, and it was great, and was he had such wonderful insights about the film and things that I hadn't thought of about the character, and
Mhm.
uh, I've talked about this in past interviews. The coolest things about working with him was that he takes his roles so seriously, which
Mhm.
is so great for the character like this, that he was sending me lengths of facial hair and
Oh
pictures
wow.
of like 6 pairs of glasses he had. Like we had a great costumer and great art team for props and everything like that. But he also had ideas that he wanted to bring. So it was like, what if I wore like a fisherman's hat, or what if I wore my gloves? Like it's not no one else is as cold as I am, but like what if I wore gloves when I smoked, so it looked
Well,
like
that's so
something a
funny
little
because
off and a little
that
menacing.
stuck
And
out to me. Like I
yeah, no,
noticed
like
that
those were all
detail.
his ideas. And as we sort of workshopped each one of them, I was like, yeah, there's something that feels a little off about this, and I love it. Like it
Mhm.
just really, it's the little subtle details, and you're like, why does this person make me feel uncomfortable? And it's a lot of these little things that add up to a bigger picture. And a lot of that was just him bringing his insights and his experience and dedication to the role, which was honestly great. He's so fun to work with on set.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if this was like intentional in the film or not, but I found it really interesting that some of the people who kind of visit her and interact with her over the night, most of them are male. Um, and it really said something to me about this idea of just like the intrusive male gaze and
Oh yeah.
men coming in thinking that they basically just like, know what is best for her.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. 100% intentional.
mhm,
The whole, I don't want to again say too much about the film because I want people to get
yeah.
to experience it, but the sort of interaction with the callbacks to her father and things like that are
Mhm,
sort of play and her relationship and fears of repeating the sort of behaviors or sort of conditions of her mother in the whole cycle of motherhood, which is like what the
yeah.
film, is circling around, um, is really important. So yeah, it was important that her hookups are male, that the community members outside that she feels afraid of are men, and that the only sort of solace that she has is a woman, is her friend
Yeah.
Claire. So like, yeah, those are all little elements that was like, okay, how can we make this sort of, and obviously I don't want to reveal this, but like she fears that there's somebody outside of her house throughout the
Yep.
course of the movie. Um, yeah, so yeah, it was kind of important that it feels like there's this community of men looking in on her in a sort of like private space.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, absolutely, great observation. Because yeah, I was hoping that would sort of
Yeah, I
hit
think
home.
I think I wrote in my review, I was like, Lily's story might have turned out a little bit differently if all these well-intentioned men had just left her the hell alone, which is
Yeah,
probably a lesson that a lot of men could stand to listen to.
absolutely.
Uh, so you've mentioned Shannon and Jeffrey, and then one of the other main members of the cast is Ryan Jones, which I didn't know this until you and I were exchanging some messages that he and Shannon are married in real life.
Yeah,
Okay. What
yeah.
um what was it like directing a married couple in this like really complicated
Just just
relationship?
like you wouldn't see it on screen, you wouldn't know it in person on set. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously they're completely different people when they're not in character, but um, I wrote the roles for both of them, so it was kind of
Okay.
already wrote with that in mind. I met them both at a film festival in Portland, which is where I live,
Hmm.
in 2014, and they were there for a short film that was an incredible short film, which The Demon Deep in Oklahoma, which I highly recommend everyone check out.
Hmm.
Lance Marshall's film. It's beautiful, and Shannon's incredible in it. And I saw that film there. I thought it was like the best thing I'd seen in years.
Hmm.
So I had to run up and meet the filmmakers afterwards, and then I got to know them, and they were great, and meet Shannon, and then after that, she and I kept in touch, and I wrote a role for a short film called Circle that she was in. She flew out and did that with me in 2017, and then yeah, from there it was like I had known her husband through that whole interaction, and
Hmm.
he's an amazing actor. And I was like, what if, and we were really trying to figure out ways we could do this in a small scope, because most of our actors needed to be local, we
Yeah.
working with a small budget, and had to keep this contained. So one of the things was, well, they're both incredible actors, would they be interested in acting opposite in this piece together? And so I pitched it to them and pitched the characters to them, and they were fully on board. So yeah, on set it was great.
Yeah.
Um, it was surreal. In fact, they stayed separate for a lot of it until they were in scenes together, so that they could sort of
Okay.
be in that mental headspace. And I think that worked out great. So it was, but yeah, no, I tell people that and they're incredibly shocked, because you would never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I would imagine, I won't even pretend to know what an actor's method is like, but you mentioning that they kept separate really makes sense because
Yeah.
we won't spoil anything, but they go into some really dark stuff, and I would imagine you can't go into those scenes as in husband wife mode. You have to go in
No, not at
as
all.
your character.
And even then it was and thank you to them, emotionally traumatic to ask, some of those
Mhm.
things of them. So it was a lot of making sure they both felt comfortable and felt safe while doing everything. Because yeah, it is, acting in a serious with those serious interactions with someone that is the person you love the most, is it's a lot to ask of any actor. So it was definitely something that was like, okay, we need to make sure that, you have what you need and you
Mhm.
feel safe in these spaces, and making those spaces fun too, so that when we had to go to those dark places, it was more manageable.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Did you mention that it was filmed in Portland?
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, the whole idea was that it needed to be a space that felt off the beaten path in a
Hmm.
small area. It's actually only like a few miles from downtown Portland,
Okay.
but it's really contained. But yeah, shot all around Portland, and then there's some coastal shots that were shot out at the Oregon coast, and
Hmm.
um, there's some aerial stuff in the film that was shot around rural Oregon. So it's sort of a lot. And then, um, I think I've talked about this about there's some practical effects that are in the piece, including
Hmm.
in utero shots.
Yes.
And those were filmed all in a studio at PDX Framework here in Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you mentioned that a lot of the story is contained like in Lily's home over the course of
Yeah.
one night. I was curious, was that filmed in an actual house versus
Yes.
a
Yeah.
set? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all on location. There's no sets in the film except for I guess the womb set, if you want to call that a set.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all in a house. It was great.
Nice.
We found a house that was it needed to be repaired. It was going to be put up for rent in a few months.
Okay.
So it was like it needed, some work and all that. So I talked to the homeowner and I was like, well, what if we rented it for a couple months and we'll paint walls and we'll leave it better than we found it and fix a few things.
It's
Um,
partially renovated somebody's house while
partially
making a movie.
partially partially renovated. Definitely didn't do the full renovation, but like left it with fresh paint and all that stuff and cleaner than when we found it, which was great.
I was gonna say,
And
did you clean up the blood stains before you
oh
left?
yeah, of course. Um, and actually, yeah, so much of it was done by our incredible art team. So like the house was just bare white walls, so it was painted
Okay.
green. Wallpaper was added. Wood paneling was added. So like all those wood paneling walls were added later.
Hmm.
Faucets in the kitchen were changed. Like all of the
Wow.
elements of like the bathroom and kitchen, everything was changed. So at least superficially changed. And then it was an empty
Okay.
house, so all of it was filled.
Wow. They did
Yeah,
an incredible job then
yeah, it's
because
awesome. So
like, yeah, the setting is a character in your movie too. And I was like, the whole experience watching it, I was just like, my eyes were just darting around looking at like wallpaper, a curtain, these little tchotchkes on a shelf.
yeah.
It looked so lived in.
It absolutely does, down to the VHS tapes she has, which and yeah, no, they did a really amazing job. It's completely full, and it wasn't 100% bare bones empty house when we arrived. So it's pretty
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
Speaking of the VHS, I wanted to try to look this up and I just didn't get a chance. What movie was she watching at one point?
Oh,
Where
so actually, that's kind of cool. So the one that she falls asleep to
Mhm.
is actually an excerpt from that short film I directed with her, Circle.
Oh, so
Um,
it was her.
It
I
is her, yeah.
yes.
So yeah, she's sort of like that whole dream state of like being like a little bit tired, and you're like kind of the movie is becoming part of your, falling asleep kind of
Okay.
feeling. It actually is her on that road, and that movie is about being sort of stuck in this sort of purgatory. So it was kind of perfect to have her be falling asleep to her. So yeah, that's a little Easter egg is that's and you can find that film online, which is kind of fun.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I went so far as to because I thought it was her, and then
Yeah.
I looked at her IMDb and I was looking through the features and I didn't see anything that felt like it would be that. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just a woman who looks like her. But no,
That's
it
awesome.
was.
Yeah. No, it worked out great that way. It was kind of fun to put that in there.
Hmm. So like going back to the set for a second, you mentioned the wallpaper, and
Yeah.
like I wish one of us had a copy of your Blu-ray because that's the slipcover
Slipcover.
design is the wallpaper from the movie, right? Such a cool design.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I
The
was curious,
slipcover.
is there like yeah deeper meaning to it? Did you design that
I
purposefully
didn't design the cover.
somehow?
No, an artist named Time Tomorrow designed the slipcover, but it's
Mm,
great. And yeah, the significance was it's a scene in the movie with the ghost of her mother sort of scraping down the wallpaper and this
mm,
sort of repeated pattern. So I really liked the idea that the wallpaper being revealed was sort of revealing the wrapping of the film itself.
mm.
Sort of, I guess, metaphorical for the sort of peeling back layers as she's sort of getting further into understanding, I guess, where she came from and what she needs to do
Yeah, yeah.
throughout the film.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I was wondering like it was just doesn't look like it at all, but it was giving like yellow wallpaper vibes to me. Just
Oh yeah,
kind of resonating with this idea of a woman being trapped in a space and her sanity being called into question.
Absolutely. No, and I love that. And yeah, the design was great. I didn't come up with the initial design. Again, that artist did, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was so cool. So it's great.
Mhm.
And then the poster underneath the main cover of the Blu-ray, which is our theatrical poster, is done by an artist named Hector, and he did an incredible job.
Oh yeah, that's also gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I was stoked. We got a lot of beautiful art for the film, so I'm
Mhm.
very, very grateful for that.
Um, so so obviously this movie is, as we talked about, it's about child loss. You tell me if my timeline is off here, but you wrote this movie before you were a dad, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, correct. Yeah, I wrote the movie in the beginning of 2022.
Okay.
And then we shot at the end of 2022. And then we were in post through 23 and 24, and then it premiered in the end of
Yeah.
24 in festivals.
Do you feel
Yeah,
like your relationship with the material has kind of evolved?
it's not that I would change anything about it.
Mhm.
I think the approach is the same. It's harder for me to watch now, despite the fact
Mhm.
that I've sort of been desensitized to the movie after seeing it so many times. But yeah, no, I mean, everything, honestly, everything hits harder once you're a parent, which is kind of crazy. People had said that to me before, and I kind of just brushed it off. It's like, yeah, okay, but you do become a softie, and for someone who loves, you know, horror, where you have to be in intense moments, it was kind of like it was weird to see that something would gut punch me, especially, being, with children, it, you have to be really careful because children are the
Mhm.
most vulnerable people in our society. And
Mhm.
being a parent, it's like you really feel that. Like, I worry every day if my baby's okay. I worry,
Mhm.
if they fall an inch and they're like a little upset, it makes me upset. So when and luckily, I mean, for tackling Lily, there isn't like anything that like you said, it's not outwardly graphic in that regard.
Mhm.
It's, this is taking place after this has happened. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
emotionally tough. It's not, yeah,
right.
it's not like the coffee table or something.
You're right, exactly. Or um, uh, what's the movie that came out? This Devil's Bath, or am I getting that wrong?
Devil's Devil's Bath. That
I
sounds
don't know. I
familiar,
might
but
I
I
might be getting that title wrong, so forgive me. I can't remember because I've been in states of piecemeal watching films, unfortunately, for this like last 2 years of parenthood or a
I'm
year of
sure.
parenthood. Um, so yeah, yeah, or like Coffee Table. It's not. I actually, so I know a lot about it, but I have yet to
You haven't
watch
seen
it
it?
because I know it would be hard for me.
Yeah.
um, and that's what they're going for. But in this film, I had some, I was also fortunate to work with, the Lily's daughter is my niece. So
Oh,
that worked out
right.
really well. So like her and I are friends. Like she was 8 in the movie, but 8 going on 30, and she's so precocious and was like just joking with all the crew members on set. Like
Yeah.
she's strong and cool, and just a blast to work with. And she understood what we were doing, and she went to the premiere. She went to New York for the first festival premiere, and
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
yeah, she's super cool. So that was great, and it's great because it's like they live here, so I basically like we see them all the time. So it was like
Mhm.
honestly getting to just work with family was really cool. And
Yeah.
then Rylan, the boy in the grocery store, I didn't know him before, but just such an incredible professional, and just was willing to be, that's a physical performance, having to do convulsions
Mhm.
on the floor. So it's like asking that of a kid is a lot. But he killed it, and he was like, he came seemingly very researched, which was
Yeah.
great. So that was great. So I've had a lot of like just good fortune working with kids, especially since this is like a very heavy subject matter surrounding children. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Absolutely. Oh, very cool.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so going back to kind of what initiated our conversation, the movie is coming out on Shudder on the 6th, and the Blu-ray is coming out. How like how did those two big steps feel for you? That feels
I
real.
mean, it's surreal. It is absolutely. I mean, this started as like a almost a challenge from my wife. She was like, do you think we could produce our own movie? I have no idea. Like, I've got this script that I've been working on for 8 years, but it's like a $4 million movie minimum. I need
Mhm.
I need backers to that. Okay, um, I think she gave me a challenge. She's like, could you write something that's just like two people talking in a room, something really clever? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I brought her back the first draft of the script, and she's like, I really like this. This is like 8 people in like 4 locations, though. It's not 2 people in a room. And it was like, okay, well, how can we pare it down a little bit, but not, I don't know if I can, this might be my limit of paring it down. I don't know. So we kind of whittled it into like, distilled it into its most, concise form. But it was like, yeah, it came out as a challenge. Could we produce this ourselves? And
Mhm.
we did. And it was, I mean, never thought that, oh, then we'd be working with Yellow Veil, our sales reps, and then working with Dark Sky Films, our distributor, and going international, and now getting picked up by Shudder is like, it's a dream. I've been a Shudder subscriber forever. I absolutely love that platform, and it's great. I also love the live TV feature they have on it. So I can just throw something on that's random and just be entertained. So yeah, Shudder's amazing. And then with Vinegar Syndrome and OCN putting out our Blu-ray, yeah. So this is funny. This is just, I guess, manifesting. But so my laptop, which I wrote the movie on and which was on set the whole time we were filming, I've got a Vinegar Syndrome sticker on it, and that was there when I was writing the movie. It's just one of the stickers I got from ordering a movie years ago from them, and it was on the thing, and it's like surreal that now we're in their catalog. So it's just
vibes like soaked through the computer into your script.
Sarah was joking. She's like, "Okay, what other stickers can we put on your laptop for the next one? Let's see what can we manifest." But it's
just put one of everything just to cover your bases.
I'm just super appreciative. A lot of people worked really hard on this film. It took a lot of time, especially when you have no money. You're working as hard as you can. You want to make sure everyone is paid and taken care of, and then you're doing a lot of the hands yourself. So like I shot the movie myself, and I cut the movie, and I did the color on the movie, and I luckily had an amazing sound team. So one of the special features on the Blu-ray is a featurette about the making of the sound, and that one I'm really excited about. It's 18 minutes long, and it has footage, behind the scenes footage, and interviews with our sound designer Matthew Rasinger, which beautiful mix. We lucked out getting to do a Dolby Atmos mix in a studio in Florida. Our composer Benjamin Cleek, it's like there's shots of him recording samples on upright bass, and he's got a vocalist. And yeah, he did all the score, and it was amazing. And then there's interviews with Leo London and Stacey Catlin, who did that song that's in the movie. The song that her mother plays on the tape was a song written for the movie. So we have this original song that's beautiful, and that's also in special features. I don't know. It's just, they're really cool features, and I was really stoked to make them for the piece, because it really dives deep into, I guess, just understanding how deep the process even on an indie film can go to sort of reach the end.
Oh, absolutely. And there's an essay that's coming out with it as well, right?
Yeah, Molly Henry, awesome film critic. She wrote us a beautiful essay. It's like in a booklet inside the Blu-ray, so that's really great. Just a great deep dive into what the themes of the film. And that's one of the things that I love talking about the movie the most is like there's a lot of it seems like a small contained piece, and it is, but there are a lot of layers and a lot of layers to the nuance there that sort of like you have to kind of, I don't say go watch this 8 times, but there's a lot there to digest, and a lot of the symbolism, which can seem a little bit abstract, because a lot of it, there's a lot of surrealism in the movie, but it's all very intentional, and it's all structured in a way that I kind of want to talk about, but I also I don't like feeding people things because I really like
spoiling it.
Yeah, I also just like to make, I like people to make their own connections while watching something. If you feel something that's even different than I intended, I feel like that's really important, because if it was personal to you, it's real, and, but like the themes of pregnancy throughout the movie, there's like a lot of intention behind the final shot and the first shot. And I guess I don't want to say what the final shot is, but the first shot is the ocean, and it's sort of this idea of like where like life began, and this sort of idea of cell division, which is concurrent throughout the whole film. And it's very important that Lily is sort of
with the worms being cut,
all that, and then the Earth coming back in, and it's sort of very important that Lily is sort of contained to almost like a womb-like small space. So the idea of the house being almost like the gestative pregnancy itself, and is really important. And there's a lot of reinforcement of that throughout. And I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot that we reinforce with not only setting, but even with the structure of the edit.
You know what you should do? Just your shirt is making me think of it. That's David Lynch's Lost Highway, right?
Yeah.
So it was on some release of Mulholland Drive on the DVD slipcover. It had just like a list of suggestions from the director. It was just like, pay attention to the color red while you're watching this. Pay
Oh, that's great.
attention to notice how many windows are in each door, like little things like that.
I love that. Yeah,
Um,
I should have written a little hand, like a just include like a napkin with notes on it in the Blu-ray. It would have
yes,
been great.
for the
Next
next
one.
DVD or Blu-ray
Love it.
release.
That's brilliant.
Well, hey, well, Martin, I love talking to you, and I could talk to you all night, but in the interest of not pissing off my editor, should start to wrap this up.
Sure.
Um, really, really appreciate you chatting with us about Lily Lives Alone. It is, as we said, it's premiering on Shudder on March 6th. Do we know when the Blu-ray is coming out yet, or
So I think it's shipping later this month, but I don't want to
okay?
speak out of turn. It's the pre-order is now, and I know that there's a limited number of the slipcase version, so
Mhm.
that's kind of going fast. So yeah.
So buy
And
that. Yeah.
well, it honestly, I mean, both are beautiful, but the slipcase is really cool.
Oh, it is. Yeah. And then yeah, we'll include links to all that
Oh,
in the
awesome.
interview when we put it out. For anybody who's interested in just like connecting with you and following you, do you want to be found? And if
Sure.
so, how?
Yeah. I've met some of my like some of my current colleagues and friends just
Mhm.
through, I mean, through festivals, but also just through people reaching out on Instagram or I have a website. It hasn't been updated in forever, but martinmelnick.com, or just hit me up on Instagram, talk to me. I love answering questions. If you have questions about the movie, because it's one to discuss, it's
Mhm.
definitely a lot of it isn't worn on its sleeve. So yeah, absolutely. I love being annoyed.
Nice.
And bother me, please.
I can attest that you're a very fun person to bother online, and very receptive. All right. Well, hey, Martin, thanks again. And
Thank
thanks
you.
to everybody listening out in Macabre Daily World. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.